The most patient dog looked into the storm drain every day, and when it was open, people were shocked. Amidst the bustling streets of a Turkish town, a dog kept an unwavering watch over a storm drain, captivating the locals' attention. What mysterious allure lay hidden below the dark depths? Why did this devoted dog refuse to leave its post, rain or shine? As talks of concern spread through the community, an incredible truth emerged, prompting urgent action and revealing a story of resilience and unity that will leave you eagerly seeking answers. So let's dive into the story. It all started when the dog was loitering on the street corner every day for several weeks. It would stand at the edge of the storm drain and stare into the night at the same time and location every day, rain or shine. The curious behavior the dog was displaying was noticed by bystanders, and some of them even made an effort to entice the dog away from the area by being pleasant to it and providing it with food. But despite their best efforts, the dog would not stop gazing intently at the storm drain. It was almost as though he knew an exciting event would occur there. As the days passed, people began to worry more and more about the dog and to make assumptions about what would possibly be capturing the dog's attention to such a high degree. The dog followed his nose all the way to the butcher shop to investigate further after catching a whiff of something wonderful one day. The butcher shop was filled with the typical sounds and smells of meat being prepared for customers, just like any other day. The silence was broken by a dog sitting outside the store with a dejected expression. Maybe it was because it appeared to be chasing a scent that had captured its attention. He couldn't help but feel hungry as he watched the other customers buy huge servings of meat. At this point, a young woman by the name of Annie emerged from the store carrying a steak. She had just gotten off of work and was on her way home when she heard an odd noise. She paused what she was doing and concentrated on the situation. There was a loud gurgling and moaning sound. She immediately noticed a stray dog sitting by the side of the road when she turned back. The canine appeared to be in very poor health. For the dog, she felt sorrow. She understood that she had to make some sort of contribution. To prevent the dog from running away, she cautiously approached it. The dog was weak and emaciated, as she could tell as she got closer. She could see the dog as she drew nearer. Annie went to the butcher to inquire about the availability of any bones or scraps that she could buy for the dog because she was aware that the animal needed food. She received a variety of bones and fragments from the butcher. The stray dog she had earlier noticed was now staring at her from a distance as she headed outside with a bag of food. The dog appeared to recognize her because it started to cautiously approach her. When Annie discovered that the dog was still around and hadn't vanished, she exhaled a sigh of relief. As she drew nearer, she extended the goodie she was holding to the dog. The dog cautiously examined the bag and gave Annie a fearful expression. Annie, on the other hand, made no concessions. She soothed the puppy and informed it that she was ready to help with anything, giving the dog ample space to feel comfortable around her while she patiently waited. The animal gained the self-assurance required to eat the food in a short amount of time. It was almost as if he realized Annie had only been trying to protect his interest. With his jaws, the dog snatched the meal and took off running. The fact that the stray dog did not eat the food but instead took it away between his jaws after finding it perplexed Annie. Whether the dog was keeping it for later or if he was too afraid to eat in front of her was a question she had pondered. Whatever was happening, Annie was aware that the dog required more food and attention. The dog was still there the following day, which astonished Annie. The pleasure of seeing her again made the dog act as if he remembered the guest from the day before. She approached him with caution and spoke to him softly. The dog appeared to be in far worse condition than before, and Annie noticed that it was her obligation to save him. She decided to go out and get some sausages for him after returning to the house. Although she was well aware that was not the healthiest choice for a dog to eat, she had no other options given the situation. The sausages that Annie had brought back were enthusiastically devoured by the dog before he continued on his quest. Annie became curious after he left. Was the lunch something he intended to save for later, or was there another reason he wanted to keep it? Even though she did not have time to investigate, Annie never failed to remember to give the dog some food whenever she came across him. She could not bear to think of him in pain. even though she knew he needed all the assistance he could get. But the more she observed the dog, the more baffled she was by the way he acted. She was forced to pay attention to the feeling that something else was going on. The moment the dog caught her attention, she decided to follow him to see where he was heading. She was completely taken aback when he walked her to the sink drain where he had previously deposited the goodie. Annie didn't understand. She pondered whether the dog was flushing food down the toilet or if he was engaged in some other activity. She decided to look into the drain more thoroughly. Annie was startled to see a kitten hanging to the edge of the drain when she peered down it. The poor creature appeared to be afraid and alone, so Annie knew she had to do something to help. Without second thought, she dialed the fire department. Quickly reacting, the team arrived on the scene with all the equipment required to save the kitten. The firefighters were able to work fast and efficiently because of Annie's assurance. The kitten was successfully rescued from the drain and brought to a safe place. They were surprised to see 4 more kittens lurking in the gutter next to the first 2. The kittens had apparently been trapped in the storm drain ever since they were washed away by the torrential rain in the area. Because of Annie's cooperation, the firefighters were able to save every person within the structure. With Annie's assistance, they were able to lure the dog away from the drain where he had first been protecting it. In the beginning, the dog guarded the drain. They were able to provide the kittens, who all need varied levels of care and attention, a home that was safe and comfortable. Because of her assistance in saving the kittens, Annie felt a sense of gratitude for her. She was well conscious of the possibility that they would not have been discovered in time if she hadn't assisted in identifying them. After seeing the stray dog's kindness to the kittens, Annie was brought to tears. She learned that the dog had been feeding them all along, making sure they never went without food. She could tell that the dog was compassionate and understanding, and she was aware that both he and the kittens required a loving home. In order to help the kittens find permanent homes, Annie chose to act as their foster mother. The kittens thrived at her care, and she worked hard to provide them with a safe and comfortable home. However, Annie continued to tell her tale. She also adopted Benny the dog and one of the kittens, giving them a warm place to live and a family to call their own. After moving in with them, Benny rapidly won the family's favor and was grateful for Annie's considerateness. The remaining 4 kittens were all adopted by kind families who pledged to take care of them after the adoption. When Annie found out the kittens had homes where they would be cherished and given the care they needed, she was ecstatic. Everyone then experienced a happy conclusion and lived life to the fullest. The kitten Annie had adopted and Benny became close, and were 2 people that made Annie's house a happy place every day. Annie was incredibly appreciative of the chance she had been given to make these animals' lives better. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see more motivational videos like this one, please subscribe to our channel.